Welcome to Pirkemossa Knits episode 24. In this episode I'm going to talk about this Deschain top that I'm wearing, and in the previous episode I think I promised to take you to Malta, and that was my original plan, that I would film this episode during our vacation in Malta. But that turned out not to be such a good idea because of the heat wave that was going on at the time. It was just too hot to wear even a summer top like this one. So I don't have the footage from Malta, except for a little bit that I will share with you towards the end of the episode. But yeah, this top project is actually a rather long project. The yarn, for one thing, is a vintage yarn that I had bought, I don't know what, 20 years ago. It's a Finnish Novita brand yarn. The yarn is called Tahiti. It's 100% acrylic, so it's not something I would buy at this time. But I think I was interested in the tape structure of the yarn. And then when this Deschain design came out, I thought that, well, I mean, the Dechaine is designed for the Kestrel yarn of Quince & Co. And it's also a tape yarn, except of course that it's linen and not acrylic. But I had this yarn, and actually this yarn was not in pretty balls waiting to be knitted. I had I don't know, maybe a similar, well, not similar, there were some cables and things. So I had a project going on. So at some point I had bought the yarn, I had an idea, I had designed something for myself, and I had made most of it. I think I had the front and the back and one sleeve, and one sleeve was in the making, but I had no idea what I had been thinking at the moment, and I didn't want to pick up that project anymore. So I had a plastic bag full of the yarn and that project, and I just moved it from one apartment to the other and stored it somewhere while we lived abroad and all that. And then, this was probably about a year ago, there was Ravelinics, and there was this, well, it wasn't a knit along or a stitch along, but there was one, let's say, competition, where the idea is that you rip something that you're not going to finish, and you just save that yarn for something else. So that's what I did at that time. I ripped that old project, so I had the yarn, and then I pretty much knew that I wanted to make this Deschain with that. So this is what I had when I started this project, or the Ravelinics, and after the Ravelinics I had nice balls of yarn to work with. So I knew that I wanted to make this Deschain with that yarn, but it took, I think, almost a year before I finally got around to get started with the project. This is, well, let's say, it's not top down like almost all patterns nowadays, so it's worked in pieces and then seamed. But that's not a problem. Let's say it's not a problem with normal yarns, but with this tape yarn it was especially annoying, since you really had to make sure that you don't put the needle through the tape, because then you just have to pull it really hard, and that would just hurt my fingers. So I was trying to just get the needle to go between the stitches, so it would be easier to sew it. So, but it's a nice top. There's this nice lace pattern on the front, and it has room to move, so it's loose I think it's supposed to be slightly cropped, but I didn't follow the instructions that say that you make the front first, so I was making the back first because I just needed something simple actually to take to the office with me, so I wanted to have something when I need to read something at the office. I want to also knit there, so I had to just get something to take with me, so I started with the back. So I think I have a slightly longer front than the back, because while I was working the front I realized that the length depends. I mean, it's still worked top down, just in pieces, so it's not seamless, but it's top down. And the length depends on how many pattern repeats you make, so you can't just stop at any point. Or, well, I guess you could, but to make it perfect, I wanted to stop where, because the hem is kind of repeating the pattern of the lace, so I thought it looks nice only if it comes after a certain row of the lace pattern. Here's a close-up of the hem. It's super difficult to show because it's black. So maybe my front is slightly longer than the back, and I just squeezed it in the side seam, so you can't really tell. Yeah, but so I wanted to film this in Malta, but it was just too warm to wear this, and so I didn't. But there was this other project that I did film in Malta, and that was my sister's, what was meant to be her Christmas present that I didn't finish by Christmas, and what was then meant to be her birthday present that I didn't finish by March when it was her birthday. So I finished it by our trip to Malta, so she got these Arctic Blizzard socks to wear at the beach in Malta. So the Arctic Blizzard sock is my most popular pattern, and I have to say that I'm amazed by the patience of so many knitters who have made these socks. I just will never make anything with this pattern again. It just takes so long, and you need to concentrate and follow the chart. But I guess the end result is worth it. And here's a view of Valletta in Malta. Let me add a couple of photos so you can see a little bit of what Malta was like, even if I'm not making this video at Malta. So, like I mentioned, it was pretty hot at Malta, so I didn't do much knitting, but I had this one project with me, so let's take a closer look at that. So this was my travel project in Malta, and you can probably recognize the pattern. So it's the Whitehorse sweater by Boylan Knitworks, and yeah, it's a bubbles and cable lace type of pattern on the yoke. So I think I'm almost done with the yoke and ready to move to the easy stockinette stitch part of the sweater. And I'm using this Donegal tweed yarn by Kässäkerho Pom Pom. I love this blue shade of the yarn. So I actually bought the yarn for this project, which is not so typically. Usually I just buy yarn and not know what I'm going to do with it, but this time I knew that I wanted to make the Whitehorse, and I got the yarn especially for that, so that's something new. And I have one more finished object that I wanted to share with you, and it's this Bubbles of Joy shawl by Kristina Vilimaite. And this one I have showed you when I was working on it. It was a mystery knit-along last spring, but I think I kept up with the pace for the first section was just this plain part. And then the second one was this bubbles, colorful bubbles, and that's, I think, when I then just couldn't keep up with the pace of the mystery knit-along, so then I just worked on it myself. The third part was this lace section, and then the last one was just stripes, and then finishing with this bubble bind off. So I think it's a really nice shawl. But yeah, it was too much for me to keep up during the spring. But now I've been thinking, I still like the idea of mystery knit-alongs. I mean, you know, the idea that you get, like, every week you get the new part of the pattern, and then you can work on it with everyone else who's participating. So now I'm really tempted to join another mystery knit-along. And this one is by Anna Johanna. She's also a Finnish designer, and she's holding a mystery knit-along starting now August 16th. And I really would like to join this one. This one has, I believe, smaller clues. So there are new clues. Some of them become like 1 or 2 days apart, and then there are ones that take longer to make. But it's for 3 colors, and I happen to have this Donegal tweed by Kässäkerho Pom Pom in my stash, and I was thinking that this is almost one of her sample color options, except that I don't have light gray. I have this light purple or pink. Colorway is called Syreni, which is I think it's a purple flower in a tree, so I guess it's a light purple. And then I have a dark gray. The colorway is dark gray, yes, and the last one is colorway is ochre. And I think these would look really good together, and yeah, I think I'm gonna have to join that mystery knit-along. And hopefully this time I can keep up with the pace and not just fall off when the second clue comes along, like what happened with this shawl. But even if that happens, I mean, I'm still really happy with this shawl. It's a lovely shawl, and it's almost time to wear woolly shawls again. And that's all for this time. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so you will be notified when the next episode is up. And I have another summer top by Leila Raabe that I have made this summer. So I think that's going to be the topic of the next episode. So see you in the next episode. Bye bye.